Hello, once again, this is Tom Chesser, a co-host with my dear friend and a mentor, Mr. Joseph Land. And we're here today on the Ask Joseph Land show. It's the Insiders Club. We have some members here today that have come back again, and basically it's a beautiful Monday. I don't care whether it's freezing outside or you're in sunny Hawaii today. It's just a beautiful day to be alive and to be active and to be involved in people's lives. So today, I'm turning this back over to my dear friend and mentor, Joseph Land. Good morning, Joseph. Good morning. Welcome your guest. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good morning, Tom, or good afternoon if you're in Eastern Standard Time. But anyway, we're so delighted to be on the Ask Joseph Land show again today. And we're so excited about impacting lives all across the globe and using what we all know to benefit others. And it's just so cool to interact with people who are joining our Insiders Club. Jennifer and I had such a neat experience yesterday. Tony Fightmaster, one of our Insider Club members, was coming down to Florida, and he stopped in South Carolina, actually went to church with us and had lunch with us yesterday. And we were so blessed by our time with him and our conversations and how he sees the Insider Club impacting lives as well. And he's really fired up about it. And his goal is to bring on a bunch of new members to the Insiders Club this month and next. And so I think word of mouth is so important, isn't it? So many times, you know, when I read something or see something, and then have one of my friends tell me about it, it's so meaningful when one of my friends tell me about it, more so than sometimes when I read about it. So Tom Henderson, welcome to the call. Tom is just joining in. And so anyway, today I want to talk about three things. I want to talk about tenacity. I want to talk about consistency. And I want to talk about being persistent in your pursuit of what it is you want to be successful in. And so, Tom, I know you and I've talked a little bit about these three things. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your thoughts about tenacity and consistency and being persistent?
You know, tenacity is a word that everybody really needs to put in their dictionary, but they need to put in their life, because tenacity is that bulldog grip, you know, that when you bite onto something, you never let go. Have you ever been bit by a bulldog? But that dog will not let go. It'll chomp down on you and you're not going anywhere until it lets go. So being tenacious is a very key component in being in business, in your personal life, in your business life, you know, to stay after it, to stay with it. Don't give up on your dreams, because your dreams don't want to give up on you. Don't become somebody that quits, because winners never quit and quitters never win. So in the life, it's always to be tenacious and having that fervency to chase something that you love, you know, and I think that's it. But consistency, you know, Joseph has taught me the lesson of a daily ritual, of a daily program, of a daily activity, and having that down. So many times I start out my life and I'm not consistent every day with what I do. And I think it's important to have that. And I think that's one of the other things. But, you know, I'll tell you what, and we're staying here today and we're being persistent about our dream and our desires to get ahead. And I'm looking forward to hearing how Joseph has used that in his life and how other people have used that in their life. What is it that's made a difference in your life? Thank you, Joseph, so much. Turn it back over to you.
Yes, thank you. Tom Henderson, welcome to our call today. How are you doing?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, Dave. How you doing, Dave? Welcome to the call today.
Great, thank you.
So you guys just come on. Tom, I want you to talk about one word. Now, Tom Henderson, I've known for so many years, and he's such a blessing in my life and such a really wonderful spiritual mentor and example to me. And he has been very successful in business. And he's being very successful right now in the business. But Tom, like all of us, has had ups and downs. And I don't care who you are in life, you're going to have ups and you're going to have downs. And it just how you manage the ups and downs is what matters. what I've determined is the times that I've been down are the times that my character is being built so that my next up is higher than it's ever been. And so, Tom, I want you to talk about tenacity and character and all the things that I see in you. Why don't you take it and run with it a little bit, Tom?
Tenacity. I think what you're doing here is great because, like you say, ups and downs. I've been way up and I've been way down. But I think it's who you surround yourself with. There's a saying, show me your 5 best friends and I'll tell you who you are. And I've been very fortunate in my life that I have been surrounded by people like you and some other people at church, involvement and stuff. Even in my lowest points, I think it's tenacity. You can't stay down. I'm 78 years old. I've just set new goals and new dreams, and I'm just starting another business. So that somebody asked me when you're going to retire. I do things that I enjoy doing, and I enjoy being busy. I can't sit and watch TV, and I through nonprofit organizations and church and other groups that I'm involved in. Always looking ahead. I've got a 10-year plan. At 78, I've got a 10-year plan laid out where I want to be and things that I want to do. But I think it's just living life to the fullest every day. Too many people die with their dreams still inside of them. And that's sad. That's really sad. So thank you so much.
Tom, I've seen a total transformation in you and the way you look, your physical appearance in the last 2 years. It's been remarkable to watch. And Jennifer and I have followed you and your wife. So you never know who's watching, right?
No.
So Jennifer and I have followed you and your wife on social media. And it's just been remarkable to see how handsome you are now, how nice your physique is, all the things that you're doing, man. You're such an encouragement to me. Tell me what you did.
As far as what?
How did you start improving your health so dramatically?
That's one of the businesses I started up about 2 years ago. Just being health conscious and taking an active part in your health and being aware of it, being intentional. That's the main thing, being intentional with it.
Yeah.
And my wife and I, we love traveling, living it to the fullest. And just keeping me active and staying busy gives us the ability to do that. We're going to be up in Atlanta this weekend. My wife found out that they have a museum for Downton Abbey in Atlanta. So that's where we're headed. So probably Sunday or Monday, depending on what your schedule is. I'll text you later on. We may be stopping by for breakfast or lunch or something. So we'll give you a heads up. So.
You rascal, you come to Charleston, I guarantee we're going to buy you lunch.
No, you bought the last 2 times. It's my turn.
Oh no, your money doesn't work in Charleston.
So just, and like I said, like the key word you said, tenacity. Just don't quit. Too many people, they work for 40 years, they retire and they quit, and 2 years later they die. I just don't see ever quitting. I enjoy being active. I hate going to bed and not having a goal or something for tomorrow. It just, I enjoy the challenge.
As we're talking about this one word being tenacious, tenacity, I'm going to tell you guys, in my life experience, the one word that separates all successful people, all successful athletes, all successful performers in anything is the word being tenacious. And it doesn't matter. You're going to get hammered. You're going to get setbacks. You're going to get passes intercepted. Somebody's going to hit a home run off your best pitch. But man, you got to be tenacious and you got to get up and go again. And if I could tell you one thing that I think my wife and I are determined to do is to be tenacious. When I wanted to play professional baseball, people said things like, "You're never going to do it," but I was tenacious. I didn't pay them any attention because they never done anything either. And when I wanted to build my large trucking company, I didn't know it was going to be large. It was nothing when I started, but people told me, why don't you get a job? Why don't you do what we do and just get a job? And I said, well, no, but I want to build my own dream. And so I was tenacious. And although it was tough and I was afraid and it was scary and all of those things, I kept doing it. I kept doing it anyway, being tenacious, fighting for it, wanting to win. And I think that is the difference that takes you on to where you're supposed to go. There are going to be little things that come along in life to discourage you, but that's exactly why we have the Insiders Club.
Damn.
Because we get encouragement from one another. I mean, think about this. This is exactly why I wanted to do what we're doing today, because I could get on the phone right now and call Tom Henderson and say, Tom, I'm having a down day. How about encourage me today?
Yeah.
And Tom will say, and this was yesterday, and Tom will say, hey man, we're going to be on the call tomorrow. A lot of people are going to be encouraging you, you know? And so there's so much power in what we're doing here. I can't even describe it. We're going to, and I want y'all to write this down. We're going to create our own economy with this Insiders Club. Jennifer and I have people talking to us from Africa and all these places, Pakistan and all these places, wanting to join in and how they can be a part of this. And so as we go with the word of mouth and stuff, there'll be people joining our Insiders Club, and we have to be tenacious. We have to stay the course. We have to know that we know that we've been called to do this and to develop this community to encourage one another. Dave, how you doing today?
Great. A little sore, but good.
A little sore. How was your trip?
Very good, very good. What made me so sore is I may not have told you yet, we're in the process of moving our office. And we're trying to get rid of a substantial amount of excess furniture. So I've been 60-year-old acting like I'm a 20-year-old this past week.
You've been using some muscles you hadn't used in a while.
Quite a few that I didn't know I had.
Well, that's great. I know the feeling. Dave, can you interject a few words about being tenacious about your business or things you've done?
Yeah, I think so. I never really maybe used the word in my mind at the time when I was doing it. But I mean, I've been with this company 19 years, as an executive employee. In the early days, I just felt I wasn't used properly. And many a times I was looking to leave the company. And I think God is the ultimate prankster. And, he was laughing the whole time, probably thinking, you want to leave this company, someday you're going to own it. Well, damn if he wasn't right. Now I own part of it. The company that I was dissatisfied with, now I own part of it. So that's my business.
Go ahead.
Well, because I was so tenacious and stuck with it, it eventually came around to be what, worth becoming an owner in.
Well, see, that is a beautiful, thank you for saying that. And I was hoping you would share. That's a beautiful example about being tenacious and knowing that you're blooming where you've been planted. Now listen to this. See, he was planted where he was. And I want to say God placed him where he was, right? And he had all these temptations to walk away from where he was planted instead of blooming. And here he is, an owner of the company. Isn't that cool?
Absolutely.
So we need to remember that. That is the best lesson I've heard in a long time. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
How did
awesome.
How did your perspective change? I mean, you worked for the company, thought about walking away from the company, now being an owner of the company. It's one thing to work for somebody, it's something else to own something. When did you really decide, to own up to this thing? And how did that come about?
Well, I think it's kind of funny. One of my superiors, which is now the CEO of the company, he was one of the guys I wasn't overly fond of because I just felt the way he treated me or my department. And then I think he changed as well. And then we just like totally meshed together, thinking on the same track, the same way all the time. And now me and him are the actual partners owning the business.
That's phenomenal when you buy into something so much that you become a part of it, whether you own it or you don't own it, is being a part of it. But it has to feel like you're a part of it. And I think that's very important. So being consistent, being tenacious, and having just hang it, that stickability, you know what I mean? That's a good word to use, stickability, and to get the job done and make sure that your dream of what your job really is happens. And I'm amazed. I'm really amazed. And I appreciate that very, very much. One thing that I really like, you see Tom and you see Dave, these gentlemen been around the block a while, and I have too, but you see what they got in front of me. I noticed Dave's already taking notes, and Tom's got a pad of paper right in front of him. He's been marking stuff down. You never stop learning. You never stop growing. You never stop becoming, because you implement what you hear and you see, and hopefully there's some implementation happening from each and every one of you, that this show can be that turning point in your life as well, or can add some more value. So thank you guys. It's good to see you. Everybody taking notes. Good job.
Let me give you guys a couple of examples in the world that we see that's more highly exposed to us than ourselves. Would you think Elon Musk is tenacious? Yeah, he is absolutely tenacious about what it is he's been called to do. And let's talk about a pro quarterback that we all know that's 44 years old and still going. He lost yesterday, but Tom Brady, the guy's tenacious. I mean, how much more does he have to prove? But he is tenacious. I mean, he is just after it. And then you look at, other people in all kind of fields, and they're just great models to us of being tenacious and fighting through what it is we need to fight through to get to where we need to be. As in Dave's case, being in a company, being a little bit discontent with the company, but knowing that he knows he's in the right place, and boom, he becomes an owner. And so, man, that is a great example of being tenacious and keeping going, even sometimes when you don't want to keep going, but the winners do that. So that's great. Let's talk about consistency a little bit. Now, we talked about being tenacious. Let's talk about consistency. And on the front end of the call, my dear friend Tom Chester said that he's learned a lot about, discipline and consistency from me. And Tom, I want you to share a little bit about that.
Every morning when you wake up, you get up and you have a pattern of life. And your pattern of life is what you live by. And consistently doing that day in and day out, day in and day out. I don't care if it's reading your Bible. I don't care if it's getting up and, having family time. I know you have a lot of things that you do, but you're persistent and consistent about those things. So setting a schedule, setting a pattern, I all the time get bombarded with phone calls from clients and Zoom meetings, and my day goes this way, my day goes that way. But if I don't start my day out, looking ahead, planning ahead, and the process, right? So what is it that you feel, Joseph, is made this such an important tool for you and Jennifer in your lives to set this kind of consistent pattern that you use, and explain to us, what is that pattern?
Well, Tom, I think being consistent in my life is like holding myself accountable, and having a discipline that I try to stay within every day so that I can be successful for myself and my family. And I think everybody wants to be successful for themselves and their family. And if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a plan, there's no way you can be consistent, in my view. But when you do have a plan and you're starting out to do something and you fail miserably because you weren't consistent, then that's a learning experience. And Jennifer talks about my discipline. Jennifer, why don't you unmute yourself and come on and talk a little bit about some of our personal disciplines and some of the things we want to do, and some of the things that we want to do by our actions that speak to our children in a way that we don't have to tell them. In other words, what we do speaks so loudly they can't hear a word we say anyway, right? And I think not only our children, but people who are watching us, like we've been watching Tom Henderson evolve in his body, and he and his wife, people are watching us, people are watching you. And so if we're consistent in our message, then people are blessed by it. When we're not consistent, we're not as effective. Jennifer, you want to say a few words?
Well, yes, I mean, I think for discipline, it starts, by, watching and by example, leading by example. And it's as simple for me as starting, with when we're home on holidays with our children, how you start your morning. And for one, I, always make up the bed and, and get your morning straight and get organized. And I think, it was little tiny things like that, the children will pass by the room and say, wow, your bed's always neatly made. And it's kind of, you're organizing your brain and giving yourself a clean slate to start your morning. And then, they've watched and they see the exercise routine, the work habits and getting up early, and your discipline, Joseph, in the morning. And I think it's had a huge effect for the children to see you reading, having your quiet time with your Bible in the morning and with your coffee. They'll come downstairs before they get up. And I think people learn a lot from what you see. And also too, for me, I think it's very, very important is your discipline of having that positive attitude every morning you wake up, even when your body's hurting or you didn't get a good night's rest. And it's just an overall face for the world that day. And it's amazing how moods affect people that you're around. And, you just have to make a mental note that today's going to be a good day and forget these aches and pains or these little woes me and move forward. But people shine when they're around that and they see that. And I think, being a parent, I know we're the emotional helmsman of the family. Most of the time, if they see mom or dad or whoever's in a crabby mood, it just really rubs off. And I think that's part of a discipline, a simple kind of everyday life living.
That's excellent. And thank you for that. One of the things that I wanted to also mention is sometimes Jennifer and I are trying to be very consistent in my diet, in what I put in my mouth. And I'll tell you, if you want to be if you want to be a professional athlete, you measure everything that goes in your body, everything. I mean, it's not like you just see these guys on the field. It's like what they do before they get on the field that makes them great. And so let's just break that down to just like average everyday people like ourselves. I like to say I probably lost 100,000 pounds in my life, and I've gained back 100,001. I've been always on a diet in my life. But instead of being on a diet, how about just being on a healthy eating lifestyle, And so I try to be really consistent with that. But sometimes like we'll go out and there'll be a really nice dessert on the menu and we'll enjoy that dessert. And we probably aren't as consistent as we as we would be if we were at home. But so we have that dessert, and guess what we do? We get right back on our consistent program. And that's the piece that people miss. When people fall short of being consistent, they get all down in the dumps and they say, oh gosh, I blew it. And we never think that way. Hey, we're getting right back on the program, and we're going to be consistent to do what it is we need to be to accomplish what it is we need to accomplish. Tom, can you speak to that a little bit? Tom Henderson?
Yes. Your body and your mind are the same. What you put in, what you become and stuff. You are what you eat, and you become what you read and associate, put yourself around. The program that we're on, like you said, every once in a while we'll go out for pizza, and every once in a while we'll have that dessert. But we know we got the stability of a program, and weight loss. I won't get into too much on that there, but it's a mental and emotional thing. You got to educate, people that's reading diets don't work. Because you just do the diet, the food, but you don't have the education, the support, and the reason why, educating to why you eat what you eat and why you do what you do. So it's a total package and stuff on it. But like you say, you get off the diet, you eat this or eat that, but you can come back to the basics and go back to the gym and work out an extra 30 minutes. The consistency of that, you're going to have hiccups along the road, but you got the consistency to come back to.
Amen. Let me talk about consistency in another way, as it doesn't relate to diet or food. Let's just talk about our little Yorkie teacup, Maximus. All right. So Jennifer and I have a home in Winston-Salem, in North Carolina, but we have a very nice penthouse condominium in Charleston. And, it's elevated, and you have to take the elevator to get down and all of that. And so like in New York, people have dogs and there's not a lot of grass. Where do they go to the bathroom? So we have consistently trained our little teacup Yorkie Maximus to go potty in the shower. He walks into the shower, goes to potty, and guess what? He is rewarded for his being consistent and faithful. So he gets a treat, and we make a big deal of it. And guess what happens after that? He can't wait till he has to go again, because he gets another treat. But before he was absolutely stone cold, had it down perfect, there were a lot of mishaps that we had to clean up along the way. But guess what? Jennifer and I were. We were very consistent every day with him, praising him when he did right, saying, Maximus, you can do better than that, and putting him in the shower when he messed up and saying, this is where you do that. And now he's got it stone cold, going to the bathroom both ways. And so I use that as an example of our being consistent with him that has paid off huge dividends, because when it's 32 degrees here, we don't have to get up, get all dressed, walk outside in the wind and cold and try to get him to go to the bathroom, because we were consistent in the training of him to get him to do what we wanted him to do. Isn't that amazing? And consistency can really pay off in everything that we do. And I just use that as a small example. Anybody got any thoughts on that?
A puppy's potty life becomes a lesson in life. I like that. I might have to write an article about that one. Shane, you're sitting there. What thing, you could unmute yourself, Shane. Shane, hello. What things have you found out in your life? You're still muted.
Yeah.
Okay. What things in your life have you found that has consistently worked for you?
Well, to combine tenacity and consistency, what's worked for me, because I didn't get a lot of encouragement when I was younger or even later on. And so when somebody would tell me you can't do something, I'd be like, oh yeah, well, I'll show you. And so I think that just kind of rolled naturally into tenacity, because that's what it would take in terms of, I couldn't sing at all when I was a kid. I couldn't even get on the in the choir at school because I couldn't hold a tune. And And so I just took it on myself. I taught myself. I'd come home from school 2 hours a day, every day. I do ear training, which I didn't even know what it was, but I was just trying to match tones. And so, you know, pretty soon, a few years later, you know, I can hear the difference. And so I just kind of took it on from there and had a career as a professional singer. But, you know, I've used that to spur me on in terms of being consistent with how I want to reach my goals. Just that kind of feeling of, well, I'm gonna see what's possible. You know, I'm gonna prove the naysayers wrong. And may I just say, it's so nice to be with a group of people who are so positive and encouraging, because I think you can, you know, I mean, that's just so expansive, and it's so, you know, it's such a treasure. So thank you for that, everyone.
Wow, that's
Okay.
interesting. You taught yourself how to sing. To
I
be a
did, yeah.
singer,
So I was
To
12
be a
years old.
singer.
Well, I had lessons later on in life, but I mean, I started there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't stop there. This lady is not only a professional singer, I mean, high level professional singer, she is also a professional artist. She's an amazing lady.
Yep. Thank you.
So yeah, and being consistent, you know, when people were telling you one thing and you believed another, I mean, that's so powerful. I love that example.
Well, that's the
Even
way that you
people-
can, you know, really make great strides, is you just have to, like you say, keep after it every day, day after day. You know, progress sometimes doesn't come quickly, but, you know, in small increments, but it comes.
Yeah,
Yes.
too many people let the negativity beat them down and don't do that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
That is really awesome. Well, let's talk about our last thing I want to talk about today is being persistent. Being persistent in the pursuit of our goals and dreams. And I heard, you know, you know the Bible story of Noah building the ark and all the animals went on 2 by 2. Well, the snail got on the ark somehow. Can you imagine how hard it was for the snail to crawl up on the ark? But I guess a female and a male snail got there, and they got there by one way, being persistent. You know, when the giraffes were walking by and all of, you know, people were making a lot faster time than them, and the rabbits, they kept oozing along until they got there because they were persistent. Isn't that a great story? So anybody got any words on being persistent?
I think, go ahead,
ahead.
Tom.
Yeah, being consistent, but I think also sometimes we need the struggle. I think, and when we do have the struggle, and then we do overachieve and train ourselves to sing and whatever, I think we feel so much better for the accomplishment because of the struggles we had to go through to get there. So I think we need the struggles sometimes.
Absolutely. You know, commitment and being persistent, you know what I mean, is a story about an inchworm crawling over a razor blade to get to the other side. Picture that for just a second, an inchworm crawling over a razor blade, right? Over. There's no turning back. There's no going back. You've made a commitment. You're going to be persistent in your commitment. So you're going to stick to it no matter what happens. And just like what Shane's taught us today, and definitely what Joseph taught us in life about this has been a pure example of getting to the other side no matter what comes your way. And you just got to be committed enough to do that. To nothing will stop you. You're unstoppable because you are unstoppable and you were made to be that way. But that's what takes, and that's what makes great leaders. And I see that in this room with everybody I know personally in this room, that's how you got where you are today. And that's something that people don't understand. We jump from one thing to another thing because we're not committed enough and we're not persistent enough to stay with the job.
That's so true. Anybody have any other thoughts on being persistent in your career or anything else? Mark, how about you?
Yeah, hello everyone. Being persistent is such a big word, you know. it defines one's true character. It shows how committed you are. Say, a good example, if you're persistent to have a good life with your family, you start by setting a good example to your kids. And by doing so, over the years, your footsteps, your kids will follow the trail that you set for, for the kids. So if you're persistent, it will show your true character, how committed you are, who you are, and what you want to become in the process.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. May I share a story with you from my private business? Today, before this call, I had about an hour teleconference with a beautiful couple who've created a business for kids. And they sell products for kids. And I was so intrigued with that because, parents are going to buy things for their kids, right, that they need. And they've taken this business from nothing to over $8 million in annual sales.
Wow.
And they did it by one word: persistent, being consistent, and being tenacious. All the things we described. And what they're looking for is someone to help them take it next level. And they say, we have all these major suppliers and all these major contracts, but we've kind of bootstrapped this thing up until now, and we're just looking for somebody who can help us take this to the next level. And we found you, and we want you to tell us what you know and how we can do this, and we want you to help us finance it and all the things that we need. And I was so intrigued by that because sometimes God brings just the right person at just the right time to help you be successful. If you'll just be consistent, if you'll just be persistent, if you'll just be tenacious in pursuit of what God's called you to do, and you keep going and you keep going, boom, the person shows up that takes you next level, and everything changes, right? And so I don't know that will happen with me and this couple. I'm just telling you that out of nowhere, they showed up in my life last week, and I talked to them, and I was so impressed with them, and I was able to share with them a lot of war stories and things, and they were just laughing, and finally the wife said, "Finally, we found someone who understands business." I got a really, really big kick out of it. I said, "No, probably everybody else you've talked to has understood the business. They just haven't built it from scratch and done what you've done, and that's why I relate to you." And I just told them, just be consistent, persistent, and tenacious. And I told them that I was going to share their story with you guys today, because at some point, maybe Jennifer and I will be involved with their company, taking them next level, and you'll probably see them on a call like this. But see, I want you to start thinking, what's possible? What's possible for me? There are going to be so many people that tell you what's not possible, but start asking yourself, what's possible for me? Is it possible for me to have a wife like Jennifer? Of course it is. Is it possible for me to have 8 beautiful kids, with Jennifer? Of course it is. What's possible? Is it possible for me to be a successful business guy? Of course it is. Is it possible for me to have 1 million people on a call like this all over the world? You bet it is, because I'm just going to speak it into existence. And here's what I want to tell you guys. I want you to start being careful. We were talking to Tony Fightmaster about this yesterday, and I'm going to share this with you next week because he's going to send it to me on a text. He has a beautiful thing that he says to himself several times a day. And today when I woke up, you know what? I looked in the mirror in the bathroom before I brushed my teeth, and I said, "Hey, buddy, you're a winner. God's got a great plan for you today. You're a winner." And I started repeating those I am a winner. I am blessed. I am healthy. I am tenacious. I am consistent. I am persistent. I started saying all those I am things to myself. And you know what? I walked out of the bathroom and did my devotion. I believed it, right? And so I think we need those positive affirmations in our life. We need to be around people who love us just for who we are. And I'm going to tell you the beautiful thing about the Insiders Club is, hey, I don't need you to do anything for me. I don't need anybody on this call to buy me dinner. And I want you to understand that. But I would love for you to buy me dinner and break bread with you. And I would love to buy your dinner. But what I need from you is your encouragement and your love and your positive affirmations to me, saying, hey, man, we're so glad to be a part of your life, yours and Jennifer's life. You know, those are the positive things that you say to people that propel them on to the next level, that put them in a vertical climb in their life. And so I've made it a point in my life. I'm going to say something to you and encourage you. I'm going to, before I do a call with you, I'm going to ask God to give me something I can say to you to bless you and take you on your way to where He's planned for you, so that you can be as successful as you're destined to be. And so many times in life, and again, this is why I am doing this Insiders Club. So many times in life, out there in the business world, people beat you up. People climb the ladder of success to get to a point in their life to feel like they got their ladder on the wrong building, right? Has anybody ever thought that way? And so all I want to do is be a blessing and encouragement and love you guys and be an example for other people to follow. And if you will embrace that and emulate that, oh my gosh, we're going to affect people in this particular time in our society. We're going to bless people all over the world. And so, Tom Chester, I'm going to give it to you. Does anybody have any comments about that, or before I give it to Tom Chester to conclude? Anybody have anything to say?
You can always raise your hand. If you go down to the bottom and you have something you want to add to it, just to go to the reaction, and there it is. Just either you can wave your hand, raise your hand. You can go in here and give a thumbs up. You can put a heart. You can do whatever. Communication, you know, is important. And I'm so excited to have each and every one of you on here. I learned something from Dave today. I learned something from Shane today. I learned something from Tom today, you know. And Joseph, this is what I think you are called to do, is to not only edify people, but to bring out the best in them. They can't see things that you can see, but looking together is a whole different perspective. And I want them to be able to see what you're doing and what we're doing together. And once again, I'm going to tell you guys, this is your show. This is your opportunity. Get out there, invite people on this. Don't just think they're jumping in on the Insiders Club if they can't come in on the show, right? I want people on here that have value, and you guys will see as you continue to do this, how this is going to impact lives. And that's the reason I thank each and every one of you for being here. Great conversation today. Absolutely. Sometimes what I needed, I found today, you know, and that's so important. So thank you very much for sharing and being a blessing today, each and every one of you. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank each and every one of you for being a part of this. And let's continue to grow together. And I'm going to challenge each and every one of you to do one thing. If you need something, don't be afraid to ask for it. Knock and the door shall be open, ask and you shall receive, seek and you will find. Those are guarantees in life if you do it. If you don't do it, it's not going to go where you want it to go or how it should go. So thank you once again for being here, each and every one of you. God bless you. God keep you safe. And I don't care if you're cold out there or you're warm out there. I want you to feel the love from Joseph Land and all of the team here at Ask Joseph Land. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom. And goodbye, everybody. Have a great week. Love you guys.
Bye-bye now.
See ya.